You probably heard about it before, but let's talk about the whole Nazi obsession with the occult thing. It's been a popular topic among people, but there's a ton of misinformation floating around. You've got these wild theories flying about, like Hitler being possessed by demons, or the Nazis using some mystical spear of destiny to conquer Europe. Honestly, it sounds like stuff straight out of a fantasy novel, right? But let's get real here. While those ideas might be way off base, there are some real connections between occult groups, racist ideologies, and the Nazis back in the 19th and 20th centuries. When you think about it, compared to other atrocities throughout history, the Holocaust and the Nazis who carried it out were chillingly unique. What made it stand out was the cold, calculated, and almost clinical approach they took to commit genocide. But here's the irony. While they meticulously planned the mechanics of the Holocaust, the Nazis themselves were anything but scientific. They cherry-picked ideas from pseudoscience to fit their warped worldview, so it's not surprising they had this weird fascination with the occult. Now, there is all this talk about the Nazis dabbling with esoteric societies, rituals, and whatnot. But let's cut through the hype and get to the facts, right? Just how deep did their involvement with the occult really go? It's fascinating how deep the roots of occultism run within the Nazi Party, right from its inception. You see, before it became the notorious Nazi Party, it started as the German Workers' Party, or DAP. And guess what? Some of the founding members had ties to the Thule Society, this esoteric bunch fixated on tracing the mythical origins of the Aryan race. Among them were notable figures like Rudolf Hess, who later became Hitler's deputy, Alfred Rosenberg, who headed the ministry governing Nazi-controlled territories in Eastern Europe, and Dietrich Eckart, the very guy who kickstarted the DAP. It's like the occult and Nazi ideology were intertwined right from the get-go. The Thule Society was really into this thing called Ariosophy, which basically revolved around the idea that the Aryans were this super special race with all sorts of mystical powers. This concept was cooked up by occultists Guido von List and Lanz von Liebenfeld. Now, what are their beliefs? They weren't just some fringe ideas. They actually influenced key parts of the Nazi regime. Von List was all about these magical runes, believing they held some kind of cosmic power. Do you know those SIG runes that make up the SS symbol? Yeah, that's straight out of his playbook. Now, von Liebenfeld took things even further. He claimed that the Aryans were basically the result of some interstellar breeding project conducted by these cosmic deities called Theosua, using electricity for all things. And get this, according to him, other races were just a product of humans getting frisky with ape men. He believed that, over time, interbreeding had sapped the Aryans of their magical mojo. And he even had a magazine called Ostara where he spread these ideas. And guess who was an avid reader? Yup, you guessed it right. Adolf Hitler himself. It's wild how these out-of-this-world beliefs end up influencing some of the most powerful people in history. So, on top of all the weird stuff, the Thule Society also had this belief that there was this ancient Aryan race chilling out on an island called Thule, which you might know better as Hyperborea or Atlantis. It's like they were really into the whole mythical northern island vibe. Now, here's where it gets even stranger. Even though the Thule Society was kind of the OG of Nazi occultism, it actually disbanded before Hitler rose to power. And get this, a bunch of other occult groups in Germany got shut down too, not because people suddenly became skeptical, but because Heinrich Himmler's personal occultist, Karl Maria Willigut, basically had this Rasputin-like hold over him. Willigut was seriously out there. He had this whole religion centered around worshipping the Germanic god Irmin. According to him, German culture dates back to a time when the earth had 3 suns and was full of giants and dwarfs. Total fantasy stuff. Oh, and did I mention he claimed to be descended from ancient kings? Yeah, and he was diagnosed as schizophrenic, so take that as you will. But Himmler was all in. He consulted Willigut on pretty much everything, using his prophecies to make decisions like choosing a castle called Wewelsburg as a base for his SS troops. They even set up a room with a crystal representing the Holy Grail because why not? And those creepy death's head rings the SS wore, Willigut helped design those too. Himmler was really into this whole pagan thing, not a fan of Christianity's Judeo roots. After World War II, he was convinced the old Germanic gods would make a comeback. So with Himmler's backing, Willigut tried to squash any other beliefs that didn't fit his Irminism agenda. It's like a twisted fantasy novel come to life. You wouldn't believe some of the far-out theories floating around about the Nazis' dalliance with the occult. I mean, we're talking about stuff that's right out of a fantasy novel, with hardly any evidence to back it up. Take for instance the idea that Hitler was possessed by a demon. It's based on this passage he underlined in a book about magic, talking about carrying demonic seeds to birth a new world. Sounds spooky, right? Then there's this whole thing about a secret society hooked on something called Vril, a magical substance from a 19th century book. Supposedly, it described these underground beings who could use Vril to do all sorts of mind-bending stuff. Now, whether there was actually a real-life society involved in this Vril business, who knows? But hey, in a society obsessed with the occult like Nazi Germany, anything's possible. And hold on to your hats because it gets even crazier. Some folks swear Hitler and the Thule Society were in cahoots to create this secret world domination club called the New World Order. Others claim Hitler was buddy-buddy with the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley, or that he had some kind of mind-controlled Jedi powers over crowds during his speeches. And don't even get me started on the whole Spear of Destiny thing. It's like something out of an Indiana Jones movie. But here's the thing. A lot of these theories are way out there and totally divorced from reality. Sure, they make for juicy storytelling, but they also serve a purpose. They offer a kind of comforting escape from the grim reality that ordinary humans, without any supernatural powers, are capable of doing truly horrific things. It's like we'd rather believe in demons and magic than face the harsh truth about humanity's capacity for evil. So, as tempting as it might be to buy into these fantastical tales of Nazi occultism, it's crucial to remember that they're just that, tales. Sure, they make for gripping narratives, but they don't reflect the harsh reality of history. The truth is, the Nazis don't need magic or demons to carry out their atrocities. They were fueled by hatred, bigotry, and a chilling ideology that dehumanized millions of people. It was their own twisted beliefs and actions that led to the horrors of the Holocaust and World War II, not some supernatural forces pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Facing this reality can be unsettling. It forces us to confront the darkest aspects of human nature, the capacity for cruelty and destruction that exists within all of us. But it's only by acknowledging this truth that we can hope to prevent such atrocities from happening again in the future. So, while it's natural to be drawn to the allure of mystery and magic, let's not lose sight of the real lessons to be learned from history. Let's remember the victims, honor their memory, and strive to build a world where such horrors are never repeated. That's where our focus should truly lie. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.